Nearly 5 years after he was first nominated for the Supreme Court, Merrick Garland is getting a Senate confirmation hearing to become President Biden's Attorney General. Madeline Rivera reports from Capitol Hill.
Nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
After being sworn in, Judge Merrick Garland told the Senate Judiciary Committee that upholding the Department of Justice's independence will be one of his top priorities if confirmed as Attorney General.
The role of the Attorney General is to serve the rule of law and to ensure equal justice under law.
Judge Garland was President Obama's pick to fill the Supreme Court seat left vacant by the late Justice Antonin Scalia. But Senate Republicans blocked the nomination without a hearing, something Senator Chuck Grassley addressed.
So yes, it's true that I didn't give Judge Garland a hearing. I took a position on hearings and I stuck to it.
Prior to becoming a judge, Garland worked in the Justice Department where he oversaw the prosecution of the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing. Democrats ask how that experience with domestic terrorism relates to the January 6 assault on the Capitol.
What's going on in America? Was Oklahoma City just a one-off, unrelated to what happened here?
I don't think that this is necessarily a one-off, and I certainly agree that we are facing a more dangerous period than we faced in Oklahoma City.
Judge Garland testified civil rights is also a top priority and addressed police reform in the wake of last year's protests against police brutality and racial inequality.
Without credibility and trust, the police department cannot do its job.
Republicans ask about the federal investigation into the tax affairs of President Biden's son, Hunter.
Have you discussed this Hunter Biden case with the president?
The answer to your question is no.
Judge Garland has bipartisan support and is expected to win confirmation. Madeline Rivera, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Georgetown law professor Victoria Nourse joins me now with more. She worked as chief counsel to then Vice President Joe Biden in 2015 and 2016. Professor, welcome. Thanks very much for being with us. Before his Attorney General nomination, Merrick Garland was primarily known as the man whose Supreme Court nomination became a political casualty. What can you tell us about how he's expected to approach this role if confirmed?
He's the real deal. He's a real prosecutor. Before he was on the bench, as you noted, he prosecuted the Oklahoma City bombing. He said in his opening statement that he wants to be the Attorney General for the people. He is a true public servant. And so I expect him to take a very level-headed approach. He's known as a moderate generally. And I think it's a particularly poignant. It wasn't intended to be this way, but because of the attack on the Capitol, it's a great move because he actually knows a lot about domestic terrorism, and his early career, where you form your ideas as a lawyer, was based in fighting domestic terrorism. So I think that's a good sign for his future as Attorney General.
On that note, Garland vowed to prosecute white supremacists and others who participated in the deadly attack on the Capitol last month. He told senators the country is facing a more dangerous period than back when he prosecuted the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing. What sort of investigation is he promising?
Well, he can't promise any particular investigation. That would violate his code of ethics as a sitting judge, but also it would violate any prosecutor's good ethical notions. You have to look at the facts and the law. The FBI is already out there. Director Wray has a wide, sweeping investigation that was noted by Judge Garland, and he has to follow the facts wherever they go. And that included, as he mentioned, aiding and abetting, the financing, the people who, got the terrorists to Washington. So any good prosecutor is going to want to find, trace the money, find out who was involved. And I expect him to follow the facts and the law where they go.
Republicans seemed more open to Merrick Garland as Attorney General than they were for his Supreme Court nomination. What are they trying to get from him in these hearings?
Well, I think they're trying to get some promises with respect to equal application of the law. So there's been a lot of talk by Republicans about the attack on the Portland courthouse. And so he was asked, are you going to prosecute the Portland attackers? And he said, yes, of course, equal justice under law. They asked for things about protecting religious freedom. And of course, he at one point broke down because his family suffered from anti-Semitism. And he feels very strongly about that. So these are standard kind of Republican issues that they were asking him to confirm that he was not, let's say, a radical leftist, as some people have accused the Democrats of being. So they wanted to pin him down on those things, and he was pretty adamant about a variety of those things.
If I may, Professor, you were also nominated for a federal judgeship by former President Obama, only to have it eventually withdrawn after your nomination stalled in the Senate. I wonder if you could tell us what that was like for you.
Well, you know, things come around. My stall had nothing to do with the Supreme Court. Senator Johnson, I was nominated from Wisconsin, and he believed I didn't really live there, although I lived there for 25 years and taught there. He did something called a retroactive blue slip. But the thing is that life is long for those of us who have spent our careers in public service, and I've spent in both Republican and Democrat administrations. So just as Merrick Garland is getting a second chance, I got a second chance in 2015 to work for Joe Biden at a very difficult year when his son was dying. So I've been honored greatly in my career. I've had an extraordinarily lucky career. I don't hold it. I think most people in Washington don't take these things personally. There are often political wins that you have no control over. And I'm delighted to have the greatest job in the world teaching young students. But thank you for asking. It was tough at the time, but if things come around, as they've come around for Judge Garland, and I'm sure he's delighted to have the opportunity to serve as the highest law enforcement official in our government.
All right, Georgetown Law Professor Victoria Nourse. Professor, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and share your own experiences with us. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great day.